Welcome back to the Bridge Plus FinTech Odyssey, and a very good afternoon to our friends who have just joined us virtually as well as physically here at Bridge Plus 79 Robinson Road today. The Bridge Plus FinTech Odyssey is an annual showcase organized by Bridge Plus as part of our participation in the Singapore FinTech Festival Innovation Lab Crawl. An enabler of the FinTech community, we have hosted and curated FinTech events over the years and have planned our signature FinTech Odyssey in collaboration with our members and partners to showcase their latest innovation and breakthroughs related to the sector. The overarching theme this year is on the FinTech impact. For the uninitiated, Bridge Plus is CapitaLand's flexible workspace and community platform spanning across 7 cities in Asia, including Shanghai and Bangalore. Our community vision is to develop 79 Robinson Road into a destination at the heart of CBD of Singapore, where international FinTech communities can gather regularly to confer and collaborate as a community. We do so through our community development initiatives and thoughtful event-driven content programming to bring people together to make great things happen. We invite like-minded leaders and professionals who have an interest to contribute and give back to the community to co-locate and collaborate with us. Whether you are a leading enterprise setting up an innovation lab or a startup scaling up for growth in the region in today's fast-paced environment, we provide the community to help you succeed. We are honored to have your participation and look forward to an exciting day of thought leadership. We are amidst some very unusual times, but are thankful nevertheless to be able to continue having this yearly event for the continuous sharing and learning with our community. In light of the current measures, please make sure to be masked at all times and to maintain safe distancing. Now let's put our hands together to welcome our next panel, where 3 heavyweights from our Bridge Plus members. We have Dr. Miao Wei Ming from Create, co-founder and CEO of Create, Ms. So Wan Wei, Head of Ecosystem at Multiverse Labs, and Mr. Tom Donley, VP and GM for APAC ICATA. This panel will be moderated by Dr. James Ong, Founder and Managing Director of Artificial Intelligence International Institute, Singapore. Now let's put our hands together to welcome the panel up on stage, please. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is James Ong. I'm from the Artificial Intelligence International Institute, short form for AIII. Quick introductions about what we do. I think it's shown there. Basically, we are a think tank that advocates sustainability AI for humanity. We believe that AI should be sustainable in terms of technology, commercially, as well as in terms of impact. Today, we are having these 3 distinguished panel members will be focusing on the topic of accelerating FinTech with AI. And we're going to talk about 4 things. One is about opportunities, one about challenges, one about responsibility, and also about the future. So there'll be a wide range of topics. For those who are online, welcome. Please start to get ready with some really interesting and tough questions for our audience. First of all, I'd like to start introducing our 3 speakers. Our first speaker is So Wan Wei. She's the super connectors who has interviewed more than 100 C-level executive, president, ambassador, and politicians globally. Very impressive, huh? And with a keen interest in blockchain, virtual humans, personal relationship, and metaverse, she has spoken, moderated panels, and lectured at more than 30 reputed blockchain and AI industry conferences prior. Aside from a professional, she worked at Multiverse as a head of ecosystem. I think for the rest of the information, you can take a look there. Wan Wei, welcome. Next, I'm going to introduce Tom. Tom is from ICATA, and by the way, congratulations. I know that you have been acquired by MasterCard, a major accomplishment for $850 million. Just want to let the audience know. Tom leads the effort to expand global recognition of ICATA into Asia Pacific, including opening an office in Singapore in early 2020, and he focuses on key partnership and strategic account in e-commerce, online lending, and fintech. Before that, he was a self-proclaimed white pages pro evangelist. I wonder what is that? I think you feel free to introduce yourself. You'll be given a chance to explain that. And then our last speaker is Dr. Mel Wei Ming. He's the founder and CEO of Cry80. Am I getting it right? Yeah, Cry80, an NUS FinTech spin-off from our local Institute of High Learning and specializing in deep credit analytic technology. Prior to Cry80, he was a senior research fellow and an operational lead of the Credit Research Initiative at NUS. The rest of the information, you guys feel free to read later on. So I'd like to start our panel to welcome you. I think we have quite a number of topics to cover, right? Number one, I think I'm going to give you a chance to first introduce yourself. Maybe start with One Way first. Introduce about yourself. What does your company do, basically?
Thank you, Dr. James. So this is One Way. So I'm head of ecosystem at Multiverse Labs. So what is Multiverse doing? We're actually a Web3 startup founders collective. So our main differentiating point is actually we think of us as a building blocks company that help connect different startups and help startups build themselves. So as more and more startups move towards Web3, we want to have Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 Lego blocks so that non-technical startup founders can actually have a chance to access and be available to the Web 3.0 economy. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
Sure. Akata is, as James said, a MasterCard company. We're new enough that we still feel like a 250-person Seattle-based startup. However, we now have a nice brand behind us that helps open some doors. I never would have gotten to speak at a prestigious event like this had it not been for MasterCard's backing. That's sarcasm. Sorry, I'm an American. It just comes naturally to me. So I've been in the payments and fraud space for about 15 years. And really what Akata focuses on is any business that is conducting allowing transactions, opening account, digital commerce with consumers or small businesses. We can help protect them from synthetic fraud, synthetic identity fraud, account takeover type attacks. And ultimately, we know that global businesses, Ant Financial, Amazon, Apple, Expedia, Booking, these types of companies, they're going to be able to do more business with One Way if they know that she's really her. They're going to allow her, yes, it's really her. This is not what CGI, that's, she is real. So that's what we do. We help companies have more confidence around identity, and we're really focused on the identity elements that consumers would input into an app or to a website: the name, the address, the phone, the email, and then their IP address. Very simple, very global, very fast. The blink of an eye is 300 milliseconds. I'm looking at the doctor here to verify. Okay. Our APIs generally are about 100 milliseconds. So the consumer never knows so it's frictionless for the consumer. And we only focus on risk and fraud. So we're not using identity details to generate more ads or do forward-looking marketing. It's really about cleaning up the ecosystem and squeezing out bad actors from the digital commerce ecosystem.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Wei Ming, a chance to share about yourself and your company.
Sure. So you can call me Wei Ming. I'm the CEO of Create. So Create is a startup company.
Probably a bit closer. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, this is Wei Ming. I'm from Create. So Create is a startup company from the National University of Singapore in 2017. This company, we specialize in the deep credit analytic technologies, and we actually promote going deep in the technology, both the technology and application. So we provide a suite of the analytical data and tools and enterprise solutions to help financial institutions in intelligent transformation in the credit risk management and investment management, particularly in the financial market. And our clients are typically in the United States, in China and Asia. They are banks, insurance companies, asset management companies. And on the other side, we are also advancing the deep credit analytics to the green credit analytics recently. And just this Tuesday, we have a new press release. We announced the Green On jointly with MUFG, AIDF, and iApps Funnel. For this is connected with the MAS Green Print project. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, excellent. Now that you have get to introduce yourself, I'm going to ask you something harder right now, because this is a panel about accelerating fintech with AI. And all of you, by the way, you guys are a part of the Bridge Plus community, highly selected with your own major differentiation, right? So back to the AI questions, I know that all of you are doing something with respect to AI. So tell us the secret, the real secret, what you are leveraging AI to make yourself in terms of your business different, and you all do it differently, right? So maybe one way you want to start first?
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. James. So in a nutshell, Multiverse is all about communities, and our mission and vision is closely related to how to leverage on AI to benefit communities, not just in like developed nations, but more importantly in developing nations. So currently we have a very big problem in the capital world. For instance, like developing nations, they don't have access to capital. So very brilliant ideas are actually lost in the process. So how we use AI to actually help these communities is that we make AI available through smart building blocks. So, you know, Multiverse is all about building blocks. And what we call smart building blocks is actually building blocks with like AI infused into it. So for example, if I'm a non-technical founder, which, okay, let's have a show of hands. Who identifies as non-technical here? Can you raise your hand? Oh, a lot of people, right? So this is good news for the majority of the people here, because what happens now is that through Multiverse, you can have a startup that is a bridge, a gateway to Web 3.0, which is the blockchain world, which is the metaverse world, which is a world that you've never accessed before because you don't know code. So this is one of the methods that my very talented team of engineers and tech people, all based in Silicon Valley, are doing for Multiverse, just to give access to people who identify as non-technical, because finally through this building blocks that we have on Multiverse, you know, you can actually do a very good Web 3.0 startup.
Excellent answer. I just want to add that before this session, we actually study and talk to each other. One of the things I remember, take away from Multiverse Lab is that they have a certain social purpose to make AI more accessible to the world. And they also take a combination of AI and blockchain technology to achieve that. So I want you to take away with this so that you leave an impression in you, right? Tom, what's the secret?
Yeah, so in Akata's world, where we are really working alongside companies like yours that may be verifying credit worthiness, there are kind of three areas where AI, machine learning really are prominent for us. So it's in the building and the delivering of our product. We use all kinds of things, XG Boost, which I thought until 6 hours ago was a protein shake. You know, there's a lot of technology that's going in for decision trees, and we're feeding in fraud labels and identity verification information that helps make our solution more than simply a database globally. It's actually intelligence related to the behaviors of identity, how they might be hitting different retail, buy now, pay later, crypto sites, that sort of thing. Again, all for fraud prevention and risk management. That's one area. The second area is when we engage with a large, sophisticated entity like Ant, they're going to have data scientists and machine learning experts who are going to be very, very particular about what types of vendors they work with. And for these multinationals, let's say it's a Chinese company that's launching products into Brazil, every single new customer that they onboard is going to look like a criminal. You know, I have Brazilian friends. I'm not saying Brazilians are bad people. It's just that a Chinese company operating in Brazil for the first time won't know the naming configuration, won't have experience with those consumers. And so in that regard, we're able to help them increase their confidence or reduce this factor we call a cold start in a market like Brazil, okay? And we do that through testing. So we also have machine learning capabilities to look at their transactions or new accounts and see how much better their decisions would have been had they had access to Akata's solution. And then finally, when a customer joins the Ekata family, the MasterCard family, we work with their teams, their experts, machine learning experts, to make sure that our products and our intelligence is being utilized appropriately for them to enhance their decision-making, allow consumers access to their ecosystem, potentially feed some of that risk information into a credit decision. So it's really building the product, understanding the problems that we can solve, and then making sure that our customers are maximizing the value of our data.
Okay, very happy that you guys are able to leverage AI for your fintech and make an exit, a successful exit as well. Congrats. Dr. Wei Ming?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question, because if you ask me whether our solution is AI, I will first ask where you are from. You are from a VC or from our client? If you are from an investor, I will say yes. But if from our client, I will say no. Because we are working in a very niche area, but also very critical area is we do credit analysis for the corporates and financial institutions. Okay, so this is quite traditional areas. I think there are decades of the development in the financial theory, and also a quantitative analysis has been widely adopted by the banks, insurance companies, and other financial institutions. So, but actually what they are using is still quite outdated methodology. You can trace back to 80s, 90s, okay? Actually, there do have a lot of substantial considerable improvement rooms for them. There are several reasons. The first one, I think everyone knows that the data has been accumulated during especially the past decade. So in terms of both the dimension and amount, right? This is the foundation that you can leverage on. But there are really a lot of breakthrough technologies in the analytic part. I don't mean the XGBoost and the random forest, because all this technology in the credit, the corporate credit analysis fails. Okay, so all of them fails because we are more familiar with the consumer credit, but for corporate it's very different. And on the other side, there are leap of the computing capacity. So this all makes a lot of comprehensive analytic technology become practical. So what we are doing right now is combining the financial econometrics together with the AI and the machine learning together. The financial econometrics is very, very important because it provides the interpretability of the results. While we know that AI and machine learning can unlock the value of the data, especially alternative data, right, from the providing the accuracy. But so this is how you position the solution. If we position the solution is helping the risk manager, helping the traders, investment manager, is supporting their credit decision making, then you have to have the balance of the interpretability and the accuracy. So that is the secret. So how you want to position your solution, okay?
Yeah, actually, what you have just answered leads to the next question I'm asking, which is the challenges you face. Because as the audience probably know, AI is very hot right now in the market. The hype is pretty high. As a person who has gone through AI for the last 35 years, I'm going to the AI winter. I think there's probably some over expectation about AI, and also there are some user or customer who may be concerned that you're actually using AI and not able to explain how it works, right? So again, Dr. Wei Ming, maybe you start from you again. What are the challenges you face? Because just now you mentioned that when you talk to investor, you mention AI. To customer, you don't want to mention it, right? Why? So what are the challenges? Yeah.
I think back to several years ago, I think everyone in the banks, they should understand ABCD, right, at the moment, trace back several years ago. But I think a lot of people from the traditional risk management, they understand AI could help them, but they really finally found that no solution can really help on the business. Why? The reason is because I would say that most of the AI technology so far is based on the, it's heavily based on the resource of the data. When we look at, looking back, what is the breakthrough of the AI technology? I think there are some breakthroughs, right? Like XGBoost, like deep learning, but all of them requires huge amount of the data. But we do have a lot of area. You don't have a huge amount of data, right? If, for example, if you look at the corporate defaults, how many corporate defaults we have? right? You don't expect there's a huge. So I think in a lot of areas, you don't have a lot of data. That is a key challenge is how we can use AI. I think that also coincides with, Deputy Prime Minister in the opening speech, right? Singapore needs to invest in the resource effective AI, right? Because you don't expect to have so much data. So I think this is from the country perspective, but also a lot of traditional industry, they also don't. So those people, if you're telling them about AI, they have no idea what it is because, right, they haven't gained any benefits from it so far. So I think these are some challenges. And also, if we solve this, we can help life better.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I think it's a good takeaway for the audience is that you want to do a AI for fintech, right? Having access to data is important. Taking care of data is also very important. I'm going to talk about responsibility later on. Tom, what are the challenges you guys face in your journey?
Yeah, I had actually prepared completely different comments for this question, but based on what you shared, Wei Min, one challenge that we see that's really prominent in our industry is this traditional mindset. If you think about like credit decisioning, that was traditionally done for a home purchase, and it was traditionally done in person, and it could take weeks to get approved, right? And we want to know if one way has like a criminal background, whether she owns a boat. I mean, look at her, she probably owns a boat, right? These are all factors that just aren't relevant for today's businesses. So if I run a buy now, pay later solution, and I just want to help consumer purchase a television, I need to make decisions quickly. I don't need to know all of that definitive or what we would call deterministic information. So one of the big challenges we face is education related to a solution, or there are competing solutions to ours. They're not as good, but they exist, to where you could operate in any market and get enough of a probability that One Way's identity is who she says she is. She's representing herself properly. This isn't synthetic identity fraud, to be able to make a good decision to do business with you. Right? And so I think the challenge for us is education, and the evolution of these businesses is way out beyond the tools that are available for the general understanding. And so it's constantly sharing information and educating the market about the capabilities that exist now.
So educating the market is important while you're in AI. I personally think that whenever you guys using AI in the context of Ikata, you're actually creating a much better user experience, right? The approval becomes smoother, right? For example, right? You feel more trust, especially when you offer the solution to many customers, right? So that's the way I take away, right? So One Way, any challenges when you guys try to do multiverse?
Wow, these are really excellent points by Tom, Wei Min, and also James, right? Okay, let me paraphrase so that everyone, have an idea of what's discussed so far. So KYC, or know your customer, data, and then UX and UI, the user experience, basically. So I think at Multiverse, most of my engineers, the key challenges they face is actually how to build on top of cutting edge technology in the crypto space, because crypto is also in fintech, and we actually have an incubator in the fintech space doing predictions on cryptocurrency. So with this space is very secretive already, and so it's very hard to actually build on top of something that's so secretive. And second point is that in the cryptocurrency world, the trends move really, really fast. So when we are done with a particular model, the next day we know, or maybe the next week we know the trend has changed because like Elon Musk did something else. Or can we include the Elon Musk decision in the cryptocurrency model? It's really up in the air. So I guess this is also one big challenge that we are facing at Multiverse. And however, we have ways to, mitigate these kind of challenges as well. And as for your point, Tom, on the KYC, we actually do have a decentralized KYC building block coming up soon on Multiverse, so please stay tuned to it.
I see, interesting. Huh? So I think you're in the space of AI, crypto, token economy, very interesting space. I'm also trying to learn a lot more about this space, right? I think it's good to find out more about Multiverse Labs, right? So now I want to go to the next set of questions. I think I'm looking at the time. Okay, as you know, AI is a very powerful technology. FinTech is also very critical in terms of people's financial implication, right? You guys watch Spider-Man movie, right? Spider-Man movie. There's a saying, right, by Peter Parker saying that with great power comes with great responsibility. And there has been many situations about social media. We're also talking about P2P in China that has happened before in terms of the fintech model. Of course, with the Ant Finance, there was some implication there. I think responsibility become very important. Responsible fintech become very crucial, especially with AI, with kind of shortcoming as well in terms of explainability, biases and etc. I'd like to you to share for your business, what have you done to make sure your fintech is indeed responsible? In this case, I'm going to shoot the question to Tom first. I want to randomize it a little bit, right?
Sure. Happy to start on this one. I think from, again, the 15 years of experience I have in the industry, mostly dealing with the individuals in online companies who are accepting payments, a lot of what we've done is help them responsibly accept new accounts or transactions or reject them. So ultimately, what we view our role in the digital economy is helping to clean up the ecosystem and reduce the effectiveness of the bad actors, the syndicated crime organizations that exist. They operate out of various countries around the world. They are very, very organized. If you just look at the Squid Coin or whatever, this big scam that just happened, these things don't happen in a vacuum. The crime rings communicate very effectively. And so I think what we're focused on in the responsibility phase is giving these online businesses more tools, not only to defend themselves, but to then protect identities that might be stolen. I think everyone knows that a lot of consumers have gone online since the beginning of the pandemic. In Southeast Asia alone, 75 more million of us are involved in using an app or shopping online than before the pandemic. That's two Tokyo metro areas combined, right? So that's a lot of new people. A lot of those people are not very sophisticated. There are aunties and uncles, right? So from my perspective, that's what the responsibility is like educating, making sure that the companies doing business online have the tools they need to make good decisions.
Okay, I understand that. I'm glad you're saying that you're helping to make businesses more responsible through your service, right? So, but we all know AI is based on data. Data in generally has biases. So I'm going to help you a little bit by shifting the tough questions to Dr. Miao Wei Ming, right? He's the doctor. He's well trained in technology. How do you overcome this problem where your AI is learning from data are biases? So even though you try to be responsible, doesn't mean that you're able to do it. So I know it's a very tough question. I'm sure there are 100 researchers all over the world solving this problem, but I'll let you try to give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor of responsibility. So actually, we do have, I think comparing to Tom and Wang Wei, we may have a little experience on this. The reason is that, we are serving typically the financial institutions, right? So those are the experts in the domain. But I think, but of course, our result finally will also go through their action, finally have the impact to the financial society, right? Especially when our clients become more and more. I think from our side, because we are using whatever is called AI methodology or AI blended. So the most important thing is to remind the users the model risk, because we know that every model is not correct. The second one is that we need to make sure the transparency to the users. What is the insight and how the result come out? So I think combining with this, so then the users can make more responsibility, right, on their own to utilize these tools or data better to helping them make decisions. So this, I think, that how we make sure we are more responsible.
Thank you, Wei Ming. I appreciate you give a very good attempt to solve this problem. This question actually is designed to be asked so that the audience understand that for AI application right now in fintech or every other industry, this is a difficult problem. It's not something we can answer here, but I think we want to bring the awareness about being responsible, about AI ethics and AI, trustworthiness of AI has to be addressed. And there are many scientists all over the world are still addressing this problem. So it's not going to be easy, but there are ways to solve the problem where the organization who uses AI are making it to be more transparent, willing to talk about it, and etc. So the next tougher question on responsibility go to One Way. Why is more challenging? Because you are in the crypto, blockchain, plus AI. Of course, you're trying to help the AI problem to make it more accessible. But then, yes, you know, right, in the blockchain space, there's a lot of speculation, cowboy, there's an ICO, there's so many things happening. Even I got confused, right? I'd like to know that, I know you guys have chosen to be in Singapore, and Singapore is actually have very good reputation in terms of governance, right? There must be reason you come to Singapore, right? But before you get to that, what did you guys do to make sure that you, as you do the token economy, make it more responsible so that if I invest or buy your token, right, I'll be taken care of, basically?
Thanks, Dr. James. Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Okay, first, let me address one very interesting point actually Tom brought up about the Squid Coin. So let me give you a context of what happened in the Squid Coin scam so that you can have an idea of how much scams there are in the crypto space. So what happened was that a couple of weeks ago, there was this Squid Coin inspired by the popularity of Squid Game. So it's a play to earn model. And then it's actually a rug pull project. What this means is that at the peak of the coin price, it was 2,800 USD. And then within one day, it plummeted, shorter than one day actually, span of maybe like 10 seconds, it plummeted to like 1 cent. So this is an example of how, and the developers actually took off with 3.38 million US dollar just in a very, very short span of time, right? So at Multiverse, we actively take steps to prevent that because actually projects and startups on Multiverse platform can actually do fundraising, tokenization, and we have it in the smart contract of our own Quokka blockchain to prevent this. How we prevent rug pulls is that the developers and the founders of the project can only take out their money or token last. So this is by code on our blockchain. And linked to Dr. Wei Min's point on transparency, we are very big on transparency as well. Because blockchain, what are the characteristics? Immutable is transparent. So you can go, it's also open source, right? It's open for everyone to see. If you go, for example, currently on Ethereum, on Etherscan, you can see the transactions going on. So this kind of rug pulls with our AI systems as well, we can actually train our AI to actually identify the potential rug pulls before they actually happen. And people, like normal people, like all of us here, we can actually log onto the open access to actually see where the money is going. So all these are steps that as platforms company, blockchain protocols company, we can actively take to actually prevent this kind of rug pulls in society.
Wow, excellent answer. Because Dr. Wei Min mentioned about transparency, right? The combination of blockchain and AI does help to solve some problem that AI needs to solve, which is a transparency, traceability, and etc. I think there's a very interesting area. Also, I think One Way you actually, I was going to ask you about the Squid Game coin, the tokens, why you went down to zero, but you already shared with that before I asked you, which is excellent. So I think we're going to go into the last segment of the question, but before that, I'd like again invite the audience on the floor and online. Please ask some really tough questions, because we need some interesting questions for our audience. I've been waiting for some questions to be sent to me. The last segment of the question is about, now that you have answered challenges, opportunities, and responsibility, let's talk about the future. Can you share again secrets about what you guys plan to do in the next phase? Something that is exciting for our audience to be looking forward. They'll go immediately check on your website right away. That kind of answer, right? Tom, should I go with you? Of course, you cannot say things beyond MasterCard will let you say, right? Basically.
Yeah, I believe now that I work for MasterCard, I can't say anything that's forward-looking. However, what I would ask, or what I would say, based on your ask, is that what we're excited about for the future is the ability for more companies to expand globally more comfortably. Because the reality is there is no one, at least I'm looking around the room here, there's no one interacting with the internet telepathically. We're all using a device of some kind. We're all exhibiting behaviors. So if my phone is always charged and it's always in this position, that means I'm probably not a real human being. I'm probably a server farm trying to scam your business. So, I mean, what I'm excited about is that because I'm a fraud prevention guy, risk prevention guy, because the defenses that we've been able to build and the layers that we've been able to create, what machine learning, data science, and AI are going to allow companies to do is to expand globally more easily, more quickly, and with greater confidence.
Okay, I see. Okay. I don't think you're able to disclose too much, huh? I understand. Thank you. Wei Ming, any future plan for your company? Is going to be a unicorn, right? I just interviewed 2 unicorn a few days ago. I hope to see you guys on the unicorn list.
Yeah. So yeah, I have mentioned that we are currently also working on the green fintech area. I think this is a very important area that even Singapore actually invest a lot on it. And I think in the FinTech Festival, government also launched the Nova project, which is the AI-driven, right? AI-driven green fintech platform. So actually, I will say that the green is important. Sustainable financing is important, and we see a lot of chance using the AI to try to complete the entire chain, entire services. This cannot be done by a single company, right? There's the entire society. I give some examples. For example, like when we look at the sustainability linked loan or sustainability linked bond, you have to identify who are the customers from the bank's perspective, who are the customers they need such kind of loan, right? And this is identification. So you can use the AI to helping on this. And on the other side, you need to measure the project. So how green they are, right? So this is also quite difficult, but AI can also help on this part. I think even like the NOAA also is all working on this. And on top of that, you also need to translate the environmental risk, translate the ESG into the financial risk. Also needs AI. So you can see just mentioning about the sustainable linked loan, there's a lot of rings that AI can help. So I think this is quite a big opportunity, I think. And also this is good for the society, right?
Okay, very good. Wow, you get ahead of me talking about impact right now. And I know that you just make a press release about the green initiative that you are doing, right? Which is good. I think, yeah. How about One Way?
Okay, thank you.
What is the future for you? What are the exciting thing?
I'm actually very excited about Web 3.0, like super excited. So I think I can list like 2 immediately what will be happening for Multiverse. Firstly, we have been accepted by the Possibilities movement, which is a NGO collective of 14 NGOs, including the Obama Foundation and Princess Diana Award, right? So in this NGO collective, which is made up of young NGO founders under 35 years of age. So Multiverse is one of the few solutions provider that is accepted after a very stringent kind of selection process. So what this means is that previously these young founders do not have access to capital, do not have access to resources, advisory, or even any access to Web 3.0 because they identify themselves as non-technical. So now they finally have access through Multiverse as a bridge to Web 3.0. And this is amazing for the world in general because as non-profit founders globally, actually 10,000 of them, we can make impact like simultaneously. And I think this is something that we have been pushing for in Multiverse, and I'm very thankful because we can do blockchain for good. The second part, I'm very excited, but I'm not supposed to announce the details yet, unfortunately, but I can sneak peek. Okay, we are also, because Metaverse is in general a subset of Web 3.0. So we are working on something that is very relevant to everyone in the room related to Metaverse, and you can see more of it like really soon. Yeah.
Okay, good. I think we have one question coming in. We actually have about 5 minutes left. So first, the question here is, do you think COVID-19 changes any behaviors of AI in FinTech? As we are approaching endemic, will you see a significant change? Oh, it's a very generic question about AI. How does it impact AI in FinTech, right? Any taker?
I could start. I mean, I think the easiest thing to observe is again, I mentioned the 75 million additional people engaging in digital commerce, but just at my condo, the number of scooters delivering food, right? We've seen huge changes in behavior that's not going to shift back once we're more open. People are accustomed to having groceries delivered. What does that mean for AI? Well, that means there's more data to filter through. There's more experiences, again, at least in the retail and commerce sector. So I think it's a beautiful thing that more people are taking advantage of digital commerce. The challenge will be the criminal rings are analyzing, looking for weak spots, looking for ways to take advantage of the new systems, looking for ways to get into our super apps and borrow money on someone else's account or with a fake identity. So when there's a larger pool of participants, it means it's easier for the criminals to find the cracks. So I think that's very prominent in our minds as the growth of digital commerce takes place.
Okay, I have another question. Do you guys, anyone answer the previous questions? Okay, then the next one is interesting. Yeah, it's about endemic again. Any future trends that you envision based on endemics? Any future trend? Any gut feeling? I do want to reserve for one more question before we close out. A very important question.
Real quick on that. And perhaps I'm new to Singapore, I've been here 2 years, but we're all so accustomed to being traced now.
Yeah.
Right? Talk about data, right?
Yes.
And so like, are we all of a sudden going to be more concerned about that after the pandemic? No, I mean, we're very accustomed now to being traced in this country. So, and that it's different. I visited the United States. There's no trace together equivalent there. I guarantee you.
But see, since you answered that, being in Singapore, we're in Singapore. I do say that we have a very responsible government, right? So we do feel comfortable they will not misuse the data. So at least I think the trend will be there as we go along. Yeah. Okay. Given the I want to ask you one more question on top of the audience question, because this event is happening under Singapore FinTech Festival. As you all know, especially those audience which are invited from all over the world, this is an event about Singapore building out the FinTech ecosystem, where Singapore is based on, right? And then you're also part of the CapitaLand Bridge Plus community, right? So I'm going to ask you a very sharp question. Simple answer. Why are you part of the Bridge Plus community, and why do you come to Singapore to do your business? I think I like the answer. Hope you answer that for the rest of the audience in the world.
Okay, I'm Singaporean. I've stayed in Singapore for most of my life. Yeah, I think
but for your company, why it's chosen to be in Singapore, right? For a FinTech play, yeah.
We actually really like Bridge Plus. It is a very awesome collective of very inspiring people, and startups. For instance, we are based in level 6 of Bridge Plus office, and usually I go up to level 6 or level 7 to get my coffee, and randomly I can chit chat with people in a very inspiring ecosystem and bounce ideas off each other. I think as in this Web3 space or in a very rapidly moving FinTech space, the magic in secret sauce is actually really in coffee conversations and random conversations and brainstorming sessions, really. So because we believe in openly sharing knowledge and listening to how other people think. Why? Because we don't know what we don't know. So we want to find out what we don't know so that we can move on to even better ideas and know better people. Yeah.
Okay. Wei-Ming?
Yeah, I think for me, I have 3 reasons. The first, I graduated from the NUS for my PhD. So definitely this is a very important reason. But on top of that, we think because of what we are doing, actually Singapore is located between the Western and Eastern, right? Although location is Eastern. And in the quite classic credit risk domain, we do believe that the Western methodology has to be adaptive to the Asia. Okay, to the ASEAN, to the China. So that is why we have to locate here and using our methodology, right? But also localize what we have been done. So this Singapore is a very good place. And another different thing is that why, for example, we know for like for the bond market, for the financial market. Even China is also a big market. I'm also Chinese. Why I don't go back to China? The reason is that you see a lot of fintech companies, they are Chinese-oriented companies. They have very good technology, right? They come to Singapore. But in this area, it's opposite. Because China, I think right now is still far behind the Western, although it's in a different way, but we do think that in the quantitativeness it's far behind. So that is why we have to stay here and contribute back. So this is the reason.
Okay, Tom, last.
Yeah, very quickly, Singapore.
Why here? You know?
Yeah. As an American, Singapore is the Silicon Valley of Asia. It was a very simple decision for us. We kind of look at Hong Kong, either geopolitical issues, obviously, but it's more like the old traditional banking town. We came to Singapore to be in the mix with the emerging tech scene.
Okay, good. We are running out of time. I just want to leave a last statement to the audience. Singapore is really the best place to do fintech, because we have the root in terms of connecting to the rest of the market, from China, India, Middle East, the whole ASEAN market, and etc. We are a financial center, and we have, I think our root is there, and we used to be the maritime silk route of the world. Basically, everything has to come through here. So our root is there. Second, I think Singapore is a financial center. We have excellent infrastructure supported. Like this tech ecosystem is actually part of it by Singapore FinTech Festival. Last but not least, I think Singapore has soft power. Because under MAS, for example, Singapore FinTech Festival, we have very good governance, and we're also flexible enough to allow us to do a lot of innovation sandbox, so allow company like you to experiment with new things. So I'd like to encourage the audience all over the world to come to Singapore and do your fintech here and become the unicorn of the future in this area. We already have 20 over unicorn in Southeast Asia right now. We're going to have more in the next 5 to 10 years. Welcome. So in such, thank you very much. I think so, three of you. On behalf of the organizer, Bridge Plus and Artificial Intelligence International Institute, we are very glad to organize this particular panel. Hope you can join us more in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.